Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm joined by my wingman, obviously, Mr. Duke, and we've also got a special guest in West Ham Online. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, not too bad after another win. Looking forward to Leicester.
Yeah, it's quite a good feeling, isn't it, to be fourth in the Premier League with 30 games gone?
Yeah, it is a good feeling. It can't get much better at the minute for us.
No, it's something quite unbelievable at the minute. I mean, I'm still not. I still sort of like think I'm dreaming. Do you know what I mean? It's like 30 games gone, and you're like, we're in fourth position, 52 points. I mean, considering the season that we had last season, it's just ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a real shock. I don't think the West Ham fan in their wildest dreams would have predicted even 7th this year. So it is quite shocking, really. I'm just hoping that we get it across the line.
Well, even if we don't, and I think we will, I think we'll qualify for Europe. I don't really have any doubts about that myself. Whether it's Champions League's another matter, but I think that the character, the resilience that the lad showed last night. I mean, you know, you lose your captain and your most influential player before the game, and everyone's like, "Oh no, how are we going to cope? Oh, we're going to have an old man in midfield, and we're going to get overrun, and all that, blah blah blah."
Don't do too much on that. That's one of our subjects tonight. Don't go too much into it.
Yeah. But you know, it was just all the sort of like the moaning and the groaning, and you know, we went 3-0 up, and then it was 3-1 and 3-2, and everyone was sitting there thinking the same thing. Here we go again. But as I say, it was just the resilience and the character that was shown, you know, and that's something that David Moyes is big on, in my view. He doesn't just get players in for their sort of like their skills and all the rest of it. It's also their characteristics sort of, you know, off the pitch. You know, he gets good leaders, he gets good men. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What we've got is a lot of resilience in the team, and we've got people with good mentalities. You see that in 18-19 under Pellegrini, we have many players who I genuinely don't think gave a toss about the club. I look at performances like Wolves away in 2018-19 when we lost 3-0. Players like Anderson, Yarmolenko, who's still here, but I've heard he goes to training like when there's days off, so I won't include him. Anderson, Arnautovic, etc. When the going gets tough, they really can't give a toss. I think they'd rather be at home in their lounge. They would just walk around, so inconsistent, and we'd let them get away with it just because they showed flashes of brilliance. And what you'll see, God, is he shows the brilliance they have and more. And he also runs. Last night he ran 12k. Souček runs 12k every game. I mean, it's a joke how committed our team is at the moment. You'll see Rice on Twitter even. He clearly cares about the club a lot, and
Definitely.
They all give everything for the shirt. Soufal is another example. So yeah, can't ask for more from the players in terms of giving their all.
Absolutely. Duke, it looks a little bit windy where you are. Would I be right in saying that?
I think you might have a point, mate. Everything's gone inside to get warm, I think. Apart from me. No, it's it's a bit blustery down here today, mate. I've got to say, it started out quite nice on the drive down here, and then as we spent some time in one of the local play parks at the Tea Hut, it started to get a bit windier, and then now this it's not. It is bloody freezing, mate. But no, it's nice. It's nice to get out there
anymore, are you? Am I right?
No, I'm not. I don't think this is Dartford. Not in Dartford anymore, Toto. But no, it's nice. I mean, listen, we got the video tonight, so I'm not going to go into too much. Suffice to say, the game last night was something else. It had everything in there, you know, the ups and downs, and it was absolute madness for me. You know, the amount of times that, you know, we kind of went, it can't happen again, can it? Oh, hello. Let me move away from that. It can't happen again, can it? You know, and here we are. we literally it could happen again because it wasn't far off from happening again. Let's not mess around and let's not pretend that we were comfortable and had that in the bag, because we wasn't, and it was very touch and go at the end. But you know what, like I say, I'm not gonna go too much into certain bits, because obviously we've got the show at 8 o'clock tonight. Claret and View from the Terrace. I've got a couple of subjects that I think people are going to want to get their teeth into. So it could be an interesting show. Top of the agenda is going to really raise some questions, raise some eyebrows, and hopefully, I have no doubt that if the young man that's already on the video now with us joins us, it may well get a little bit heated later. So I look forward to opening it up and having more of an open forum with a few more fans tonight. Want to like I say, get in on the discussion. We're going to go live for an hour, about 8 o'clock. So those of you that want to join us for a couple of shall we say thought-provoking subjects are more than welcome to come along.
Do you reckon you'll be around for that West Ham online?
Yeah. I reckon I'll be around. I know on Twitter yesterday, me and James had that mess around, and I don't know who it was on the account, Gatesy or Duke, but I know someone.
That was me.
What's going on here? What's going on?
Yeah, it did get a little bit feisty, shall we say? But it was like I say, and as you guys said, it was all in jest. So I was kind of happy just to leave you guys to it. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all West Ham, and we're all here because we love the club. And as we've all said before, opinions are like arseholes. Everyone's got one, and some of them stink and some of them don't. So it'll be interesting to have the conversation tonight. I'm gonna centre it around some certain players and some certain questions. So I'm actually really looking forward to being the man in the middle as such, the referee this evening.
Yeah. And
so Gatesy, talk to me about. Oh, go on. West Ham.
One more quick thing is, as you said about the opinions thing. Some people do have bad opinions. There's idiots that don't rate Masuaku after last night's performance, in which he was apparently poor defensively, but as the graphic shows here, he wasn't a defender, so I'm not sure where that agenda has come from. But, people have terrible opinions, and we just have to accept it at times.
I wonder who you might mean.
Gatesy, stop doing a wind-up already. Save it for later.
What? I don't know what you... I'm completely oblivious to this. So this was the starting lineup. This was the starting lineup last night, gentlemen. So, I mean, all things considered, I think that's probably the best lineup we could have gone with. Yes or no?
You know what? Let me jump in, because I want to keep muting myself so I don't end up with a lot of background noise. But you know what? That lineup came out, and again, without going into too much, because I don't want to give away a lot tonight, there was a lot of crap that was thrown around across the social media platforms. I was, when the injury to Deck came out, there was a lot of shit and flack that was thrown at, Mr. West Ham himself, which I wasn't pleased with. But to be fair, you know what? Let's be honest. Bar a couple of, bar an uncomfortable, a couple of performances, namely from Diop and Dawson out there. It was all right. It was, you can't fault the performance other than maybe those two players and maybe a little bit of a defensive, lapse on a couple of occasions. Diop lost his man and they scored from that. Silva got in behind and everything else. But, to see the comments again this morning of Cresswell's finished at the club, get him out of my club, he doesn't deserve to wear the shirt. I've seen it all today, and I'm really getting a bit miffed with the plastic fans, to be honest with you, because there's just no need for it.
I've got to be honest, that one's passed me by. Have you seen that one, West Ham Online, about Cresswell?
I think today was the first time in quite a while that I've not been on Twitter. I've not
Stay off
seen
of
that.
it, mate. It's probably safer.
Then again, I
Wow.
did see Alan blaming him for every goal. So yeah, you never know.
Crazy. But what do you guys think? I mean, obviously, we don't know what the situation is with Antonio. They're saying that Lingard was just cramped, so he should be fine for the Leicester game. Souček's indestructible, so I don't really envisage that he's going to have an issue. But if Antonio doesn't make the Leicester game, I mean, who in your opinion takes the number 9 spot? What do you think, West Ham Online?
Bowen for me.
Yeah.
I think he's a good striker. I think he's played really well the 2 times that he's played there. And you know, I was having a discussion with someone on Twitter yesterday. As soon as Antonio got injured, I knew it was going to happen. Now, someone put, Moyes, what a clown he is, not signing a striker. We should have got Josh Maja from Fulham. I tweeted out, no, you're having a laugh. Bowen will score. He's better than Josh Maja or any loan player we could have got. Unless we're going to sign an Nesri. For me, it was a pointless signing. It's just our fans having a moan for no reason, which seems to happen quite a lot. 5 minutes later, not even 5, he scored within 3 minutes of coming on. 3 minutes later, Bowen scored. I straight away sent that guy a reply again. So, yeah, for me, Bowen's really played really well up front. Some people won't admit it. You know, they'll just say we needed to buy Josh Maja, who's got 2 goals since joining in January. So it is quite strange to see. But
And if I'm right in thinking, they both came in one game, didn't they?
Yeah, both against Everton, which is good for us,
Yeah.
actually. David Moyes masterclass. Doesn't sign him because he knows he's useless, but he takes 3 points off our European rivals. So that's perfect for us.
Definitely. I mean, are you in agreement with that, Duke, about Bowen being the striker if Antonio's not ready for Leicester? I mean, I'm guessing that's got to be the choice, isn't it?
I mean, to be fair with you, mate, and again, it's a conversation that the 3 of us have had on a couple of occasions, actually, is that front 4 in, like we say, Antonio, Lingard, Benrahma, Bowen, and even for now, as if, you know, if the case is what the case is, we're going to need to have a little look at what we can do, because again, it'll be something I talk about later, but I don't think Noble's up to playing, you know, 2 lots of 90 minutes in 7 days. I just don't think he's capable of that right now. But that being said, you know, that kind of opens the door for someone you've been championing over the last you know, 24, 48 hours. So again, we'll cover that a bit later, but I don't think it matters. You could pick any one of, if you put Fornals out on the left, Benrahma into the middle, Lingard out on the right, Bowen up top, Bowen out on the right, Lingard up top, Benrahma in the 9, Fornals in the 9. Doesn't matter. Listen, between the 4
They all
of
move
them,
around, don't they? They all
you
sort of
literally,
interchange and whatever.
and I know this I might get a little bit of stick for this comment, but those 4 move around like the total football Dutch side. You know, when the Dutch side play, the Dutch international players, they all interchanged positions. It was a full rotational. We've kind of got that in those front 4, front 5. So, you know, listen, I don't think, even if Moyes turns around and goes, right, this is my formation against Leicester, 4-2-3-1 with Lingard up top, Benrahma in behind, Fornals left, Bowen right. I guarantee you 15 minutes into the game, you'll see Lingard dropping in, Benrahma pushing forward, Benrahma or Bowen, you know, doing what he needs to do, and all of a sudden the Sky panel are going, yeah, we didn't predict this, we didn't know what formation they're going to play, because they will interchange. And I personally, I love that thought. I think that's outstanding. I think that for me is perfect and should be how it works anyway. Your players should be able to interchange across 3 or 4 different positions or places on the pitch, to be fair.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair comment. I've just got the stats up from last night. Now, I'm just looking at this. I'm just going to bring this up. Now, we had 33% possession and we won 3-2. Now, I was having a conversation with someone on WhatsApp a little bit earlier, and the perception was we was losing the battle in midfield. Mark Noble maybe was part of that. Now, he's 34 years of age. He played the entire 90 minutes. The last however long, it wouldn't be unreasonable to expect that maybe his endurance isn't what it once was. But that being said, with 33% possession, we won the game 3-2. Now, as far as I'm concerned, and I don't know what you two think, but last night it was all about the result, because we obviously had the situation that unfolded against Arsenal. I know we got a draw, but it felt like we'd lost the match. Last night was all about, by hook or by crook, by whatever means necessary, getting 3 points. We did it.
Yeah.
For me, 33% possession is neither here nor there. And I countered this conversation. I brought up the stats from the 2 games that we had early this season, which I think most people would probably say have been our best 2 performances this season, which was the corresponding fixture against Wolves and the corresponding fixture against Leicester. Well, in the last game we had against Wolves, we had
that's exactly what I was about to say.
36% possession and won 4-0. We had against Leicester even less, 30% possession and won 3-0.
Yeah. Possession don't matter at the end of the day, Gates. Possession is the most overrated stat in football. It just shows who passes it around the back more often.
Exactly.
It just doesn't matter one bit. As long as you do, we're a counter-attacking side.
Not getting involved in conversations about possession. Casey knows where I'm on that.
We're a counter-attacking side, and it just shows how well we use the ball, because if we only have the ball a third of the game, roughly, yet we score more goals than the opposition, it just shows possession just really doesn't matter. You wouldn't have known it was 33 from watching the game either, mostly because it was Patricio and Cody passing it around with each other. So, yeah, I couldn't care less about we could have 3% for all I care.
Yeah.
As long as we win the game.
Exactly. I mean, it's not, about how long you've got the ball for. So, as you say, you could have 70% possession. I mean, I'll tell you what, just to sort of show it to you, we had 30% possession against Leicester. We created 14 shots, of which 6 were on target. We scored 3 goals. Leicester in the same game, 70% possession, 4 shots, 0 on target. I rest my case.
And defensively, that game we were brilliant, wasn't we? Most of the game was about keeping shape. I think that's the best I've seen us defensively in one game this season. As you say, they had 4 shots. They didn't look anywhere near scoring. Apart from that, they done a really good move at the end of the game that was just offside. But apart from that, we were brilliant. They couldn't get through us at all. They had no creativity. Yes, a little bit was to do with the fact they had Mendy in midfield, who is about as useful on the ball as a bag of soap. That doesn't even make sense. But we were brilliant defensively, and hopefully that's something that we'll use in the upcoming game against Leicester, and hopefully we'll know how to shut them out.
Yeah, absolutely. Got the league table there, gentlemen. Now, how does that look to you? Does that look pretty satisfying?
Yeah, it does. I was saying with James, last night, if we beat Leicester, I think we'll come above them with their fixtures, if I'm honest.
To be fair, I'd even say that even taking a point off of Leicester, I know James disagrees, but I don't think a point against Leicester should work. I don't think a point against Leicester, when you look at our respective remaining 7 games after the next game's out the way, if, let's say for the sake of argument, it ends 1-1, which is not inconceivable. You look at our remaining 7 games, you look at their remaining 7 games. I would argue we could make that 4-point differential up and then some, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah,
I mean,
we definitely can.
Go on, myself. Go on.
No, you go on. I've spoke too much.
All right. No, all I was going to say was, if I was a Leicester fan right now, I'd be having little pebbles in me pants, to be honest with you, because they're not as comfortable as they were a few weeks ago in all of this. I think we've got 3 what I'd consider to be. You can get out of it, bloody see. We've got 3 out of what we got left. 8. Is it 8 left?
We've got 8 games left.
8 games left. 3 of them: Chelsea, Leicester, Everton. really are the ones that are going to be what you consider on paper to be difficult games, right? You got Newcastle could be considered a little bit more difficult because they're down there fighting for what it is that they're doing. Other than that, we've got a relatively, I won't say easy, I'd say decent running. I'd say
You'd take it
decent
all day
running.
long, wouldn't you?
You know what, considering where we are, if I was Leicester, I'd definitely be looking over my shoulder thinking, shit, this is a little bit closer than we want. And this is, for them anyway, it's definitely squeaky bum time. I think, you know, when you look at the teams that are in and around us, we've got Chelsea, so let's just go do a job. You know, it wasn't pretty when we played them the first time round, and I think I'd like to think we've learned. I'd like to think that we've learned that we can't do that again. You look at the Man U game away in the league. You know, wasn't a great result. Look at the Man City game away. Wasn't a great result, but what a performance!
Yeah.
You know, if we go to Chelsea, we go to Everton, we go to Leicester in those games, or we play against these teams in the same way that we played against City away. We're coming away with something, you know, from the game. Yeah. Because you look at City, and City are head, shoulders, knees, toes above everyone else that's out there. So for me, perform like we did against City, play like we did against City in these last set of games. I thought, oh my Lord, Logan, get back a bit, genius. My son's about to look. I'm not even look. You see them? They're laying right on the edge of the water. These pair of tits. Look at them. Look. That's my nephew and my brother-in-law. Look at them. Look.
Next, we'll see the hippo come out of the water.
Oh, don't you start.
Not getting involved in that, mate. I'm not mentioning it, though.
Don't you start.
I think, yeah, like I say, if we played like we played against Man City in the league, in every single one of these games that we've got left, we're picking up. We're taking something out of the game. Be it a point against the other three, be it 3 points against the other 5. You know what? Say it, but say it quietly. Alexa, play the Champions League music.
Oh, yeah, but we'd get done for copyright, so be careful.
The champions!
Just to draw your attention, and Cathal makes a great point. Leicester have also got the FA Cup. They play Southampton, I believe, in the semi-final. Yeah. Is that correct?
And they'll expect to win that.
They got knocked out. They got knocked out of the Europa League by the West Ham B team, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah.
I
no longer consider Slavia our B team.
But no, I mean, sort of like that's a great point. I mean, they'll have that as their focus, and especially if they get past Southampton, which I think most of us expect they will. Are they going to take their eye a little bit off of the Premier League, even if it's just subconsciously, because they're one game from lifting a trophy? If they get past Southampton, they're one game from lifting a trophy that they've never managed to do. In fact, they've got to 4 FA Cup finals, never won any of them.
Yeah. I would agree with this point because James made it last night as well. But to be honest, 2 games isn't really anything that they'll worry too much about, especially considering the FA Cup final was played after all the league games. Yes, the Southampton game, I expect them to go full strength, and they'd be idiotic not to, because it's a game they literally have to win. I mean, it's a great opportunity for them. And I think the way it's looking with the way Everton played against Palace last night and the way they've been playing recently, worst comes to worst, I can see us coming 7th now. I was worst comes to worst 8th, sorry. But now I think it's 7th. So say it quietly, but Alexa, play the European Conference music.
Yeah, careful. Steve makes the point. Everton were poor yesterday. I mean, I agree. I saw bits of that, and yeah, that was a Palace did us a massive favour there.
Yeah,
dropped 2 points for Everton. So I mean, people say that we've been quite lucky that there've been teams around us that's dropped points, but that's nothing to do with us. It's not. We can't influence that, for God's sake.
Yeah,
So,
Everton are crap. Everton have
yeah,
been lucky for the majority of the season. Ask any sane Everton fan, basically.
yeah,
It'll take you a while to find one, but any sane Everton fan will admit that they've been quite poor. You only have to look at their XG, in which they're 13th in the league. And usually it's just because they're really good with their finishing. Last night their finishing was catastrophic, and
yeah,
it looks like everything's coming back to bite them. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they have harder fixtures than us as well. So yeah, Everton for me, we should finish above them now, which will be a laugh because they appointed the so-called best manager in the world. Their fans said, whilst we appointed David Moyes. They signed James Rodriguez, the best player in the World Cup in 2014. They signed Allen, apparently the best midfielder in the world, according to Everton fans. They signed Decore, who's also a class player. We signed Craig Dawson, the relegator, Vladimir Sofal, who's unknown, Saeed Benrahma, who's a championship player, and and Lingard on loan, who's apparently a fouled reject for United, according to Everton fans. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of Everton fans, as you can tell. So
oh,
yeah.
Duke's dropped out.
Oh,
Oh dear.
So I'll have a right laugh if we finish above them, and Moyes proves that Ancelotti is just a fraud, really.
Well, asking it shall be given West Ham online. Their remaining fixtures are Brighton away, Tottenham
Difficult
at home.
game. Yep.
Tottenham at home. Arsenal away. Everton. They play Villa at Goodison. Then we've got them on the 8th, obviously at London Stadium. Then they have the visit of Sheffield United to Goodison. They again host Wolves on the 15th of May in their last game of the season. They're going to some team called Manchester City. Have you ever heard of them?
Jesus, that is tough. I actually think that's really tough. Brighton are a really good team on there. They're really starting to show what a team they are, but Brighton, because they were struggling for a while to finish their chances, but they've always been a good footballing side. I'm a big fan of Graham Potter, so that's a hard game. Tottenham, 50-50. They're a bit crap, Tottenham, but
Depends upon which Tottenham turn up.
Yeah, I'll take a draw in that one. Arsenal, tough game. Really tough game for Everton, especially because they're not very good. Sheffield United, I mean, that one would just write off, I think.
That should be 3 points for Everton,
yeah, I think Coronel Cosmos under 9s would beat Sheffield United. So that will be 3 points. And Man City, they've lost. They're not going to win that game. Unless Man City are on their holidays, which I hope they aren't. And I don't think a Pep Guardiola team will be.
No, I agree. Steve makes the point there. We need 90 minutes like the first 35 of the last 2. I mean, I would argue, and it's all ifs and buts and maybes, but I would argue that if Antonio had stayed on for the next 60 minutes, or at least a fair quantity of the next 60 minutes from when he went off, that game doesn't finish 3-2.
Yeah, I agree. You've got to remember, Gatesy, that people beforehand were calling Antonio to be dropped, which was quite confusing to me. But he was brilliant last night. I really enjoyed his performance. Even when he fell over, he was going past people, and he was like they couldn't deal with him. They really could not deal with him. Connor Cody especially had nightmares after the game.
He doesn't like playing against Antonio. I mean, the last few times I've seen Cody versus Antonio, Cody's been made to look pretty average, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. I heard before the game Antonio's never scored against Wolves, but both times he's played them this season, don't get it wrong, just because he's not scored. The guy has been incredible. The 4-0 as well, I thought it was unbelievable then. So I think that whenever they play Antonio next, Nuno will probably just say snap him in half, basically.
Yeah. Now, Tony makes a great point here. We had Antonio and Rice in the games that you're comparing to. It makes a big difference not having those two against Leicester and Chelsea. Well, we may have Antonio, Tony. That's the thing. I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic that they've just brought him off for a precautionary measure and that it wasn't a hamstring injury, but just, he's felt something. So we're 2-0 up at that point. We'll get him off. We'll put Bowen on and we'll ride the storm, which we did. So hopefully he's available for Leicester. We'll wait and see. We obviously know that Rice, however, won't be available for the Leicester and Chelsea games. But I mean, that's a fair point, don't you think, West Ham Online, with the point that Tony's making there?
Yeah, it's a fair point from Tony. As I said, I'm happy with Bowen anyway. Antonio, I think, is superior up front, but I think Bowen's probably the better finisher. So, if a chance falls to him, I'll be happy. So yeah, I am quietly optimistic about Leicester.
I think the point that Steve's making here is Everton supporting brother-in-law has gone very quiet. I think he's concerned.
Yeah.
Is he, Steve? What we got here? We got Cathal can see a lot of draws for them. Yeah. I think you're probably right there, mate. And he makes the other point: Brighton are the best expected goals team. I don't know about you. I mean, I know you like your stats, West Ham Online, but expected goals. Do you pay much attention to that yourself?
Right, I'll tell you quite a bit about this. First of all, Cathal, I get Brighton aren't the best expected goals team, obviously, but I think they are in the top 6, which is surprising if you look at the table. I think Man City are best expected, but I do look at expected goals, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Someone in my chat who's a football journalist called Aaron Bennett, shout out to him. He made up a good quote which I like, and it's you can run from XG but you can't hide from it. And what he meant by that is he supports Watford, and at the start of the season, Reading were doing really, really well, and they were first in the league for quite a while, first and second in the league. Yet they would get their XG was really low, which it basically showed they were playing quite poorly, but they were finishing their chances. And eventually that caught up with them, and now they've dropped off a cliff. Reading, the same thing happened with Swansea. Their XG was really low. Eventually it caught up with them and they fell off a cliff. And with Everton, who I was just talking about, they're in the bottom half for XG. And they were doing really well points-wise, but they hadn't actually outshot their opponents for 17 straight games until the Palace game yesterday. So I said a few weeks ago, I think we'll finish above Everton. I don't think they're very good, and I think it will catch them up, their XG, and it has done. The past few weeks they've been quite poor. So I don't think the stat is the be all or end all, but I think it's certainly a good benchmark.
Fair enough. I've got to be honest, it's never a stat that I've taken too much notice of, but I might have to start. You never know. Steve, your other brother-in-law supports Spurs. Say no more. Move on. Cathal, you can tell Cody's a converted midfielder. He doesn't have the brute strength of a centre-back. Do you know, I didn't realise he was a converted midfielder. I've got to be honest. That's news to me. Was he a midfielder back when he was, because he was a youth player at Liverpool, wasn't he?
Yeah, that he was a midfielder then,
yeah. Fair enough.
The thing is, he's good in a 5-back, Cody. He's brilliant then because he's great at passing, but in a 4-back, he's just not good enough defensively, in my opinion.
Yeah, fair enough. Before we've just got someone that's just dropped into the green room, so I'm just going to bring him in a sec, but I'm just going to get to this one here first. What's the injury news on Antonio? Have you heard anything on this one, West Ham Online? Because I've not as yet heard anything.
Apparently the club don't think it's that bad, but they're having a scan on it today. And I know before with Antonio, there was a similar situation where they were saying it weren't bad and it ended up being a disaster. So I've got my fingers crossed on that one.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, I'm going to bring in the next person. It's not Duke. I don't know where he is. He's somewhere on the south coast, and I think probably a seagull's nicked his mobile phone. But there you go. It's one of those things. James, how are you, sir?
Oh, I'm sober and happy. I must admit, I had a few beers last night because I was nervous, mate. Honestly, I won't even lie.
Listen, it was a situation where I think you were entitled to a few beers, so it's no problem with that. So but all is good. 100%. And can you believe we're fourth? 8 games left.
No, yeah, it's a good feeling. But I'll tell you what, the next game against Leicester is the one for me. If we get that, then I will start being right, feeling it. I think if we beat Leicester, and I think it is a must win. I know we spoke last night and you said about would you take a draw. they're 4 points clear of us at the minute. If we beat them, we're 1 point behind them, Rob, and we drag them straight in with us.
But we've just West Ham Online and we've just gone through their fixtures, and our last 7 games and their last 7 games. I seriously do look at their last 7 games and go, and I think we could make up that 4 point differential in those 7 games if everything goes according to plan. But
obviously, if we lose the game, they're 7 points clear, and I think it's good buy for the third position. It's a big game, mate, next week, really, and I hope Antonio's fit. Do you know what? If Antonio isn't fit, it wouldn't really bother me, really, but because obviously Lingard's the one that we must wrap in cotton wool, because he done a masterclass last night. He run through that third goal when he runs through and got about 4 or 5 Wolves players chasing him was just unbelievable, really. But it was something of class. Do you know what I mean? And the geezer's a class act. If I'm honest, I went on West Ham Fan TV last night, and I just said it. I just said he has to be signed, sealed, delivered on the first day, and there can't be no hesitation on this.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. If we need to get that deal done, I seriously don't see the point, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't see what motivation Jesse Lingard himself would have to sign a contract extension at Manchester United. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I'll be honest with you, that ship has well and truly sailed at Manchester. I know that for a fact.
Exactly.
Through proper Manchester United fans who I know who have said, you know what, he won't be going back to Manchester because Ollie didn't fancy him. And let's be honest, if you've left the club to go and progress your career and you're tearing up trees somewhere else, you're hardly likely to go back to the club that didn't want to know you in the first place, if that makes sense. That's not the fear that I have. The fear I have is if we don't get any European football for any reason, he might get tempted to go somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously, look where we are now. We're 4th with 8 games to go, and I think every West Ham fan up and down the land would have snapped your hand off and said to you, give me that, please. I begged you for that position. And do you know what? I look at our fixtures and I look at the Chelsea game as the hardest game out of the lot of them. That's the only one. I think the only difference is and we can probably all agree on this, we don't do well at Burnley and we don't do well at Brighton. But then I said that about the Wolves game and we went up there and won. So if this is the new West Ham, we have to go to these places. We have to win. We have to win at Newcastle. We have to win at Burnley away. We have to win at Brighton away. And if we do win them games and we can get something out of the Leicester, Chelsea and Everton game, then that Champions League music will be ringing around Stratford next season. 100%.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I don't want to sort of say it's going to happen, but like I say, we've been around this position for quite a bit of this season, and not just since Lingard's come, but Lingard's been like the cherry on the icing on the cake. Yeah. He's given us that attacking thrust that I think that I know we were missing big time, and he's come in, and it's just going forwards we look a completely different proposition. I mean, up to that point, I think all of our most of our sort of our good work this season has been done defensively. Lingard has come in and he's added that offensive magic. Do you know what I mean? That you can, that you can then sort of bolt onto that defensive solidity. And the only thing that concerns me, guys, I don't know about you, but in the last couple of games, is it me or has Craig Dawson started to have a little bit of a dip in his form? Yeah. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think he has.
I think, he has, but I also think Cresswell hasn't been any better either. If you look at Cresswell, he's been last night. If you check out their second goal, Wolves, he's done the same thing as what he done against Arsenal for their second goal. He follows the ball, not the man. The man runs off of him. Ball goes straight over the top. Fabio Silva runs through and scores. And it's a bit like the Chambers one for the second goal. He follows the ball. He don't follow the man. Chambers runs off of him again. I'll be honest with you, and I don't want to put it on a negative, but 2 games and we've conceded 5 goals in 2 games. That's not
Mm.
good. Like I know we've won these games. Like we've won a game, we've drew a game, right? But we can't keep scoring 3 goals and hoping to try and get something out of the game. Do you know what I mean? Like we need to sort of shut up shop. And I don't know about yous, but I thought our in-game management last night was terrible. I thought when we go 3-0 up, we're cruising along, and they just seem to stop again. It's like a mental block. Like everything's going well, and then all of a sudden it's just like this big shutter comes down, and it's like they could go and concede a goal. And let's be honest here, at half time, I sat in here, and I was like, I know what's coming. They're going to score another one, and we're going to be sitting here wondering whether we're going to get a draw or high blood pressure. Do you know what I mean? So
I hear that Ogbonna's going to be in training. I think is it later this week or early next week? Is that right?
Yeah.
So fingers crossed he's going to be. I mean, at the minute, who would you say who drops out if Ogbonna is fit? I don't think that the Leicester game is realistic, but possibly the Everton game, maybe.
I'll drop the Diop out.
Okay.
Yeah, and listen, like me and West Ham Online. I know I'm talking a bit West Ham Online. Sorry, mate, but me and West Ham Online have had this debate where it's sort of like I like Diop, he don't, right? But I can get it on this one. Like we need a Bonner back there to marshal that defence. The only reason why I'll keep Dawson there is because he does come across as a bit of a leader, but he needs. I think what he's doing is he's either run out of steam a little bit or he's running out of steam. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, his first game was December the 29th against Southampton away. That was his first game of the season. So in theory, he's played half a season. And obviously, is that catching up with him now? Like, is this sort of half a season situation starting to catch up and he's starting to put in the odd bad performance? Because he hasn't been great in the last 4 games.
Probably the last
he weren't
3,
good
4
at
games, yeah.
Yeah. So we need our Bonner back urgently. And if someone said to me right now, who'd you take out? I would take out Diop and put a Bonner back.
Yeah. I think I agree with you. What about you, West Ham Online? I think you're in agreement with that.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement. The problem with Diop for me is his positioning is just horrific. I mean, the man doesn't know where he is half the time. He's really clumsy defender. I said before, I think he has all the attributes apart from awareness to go to the top, but it just doesn't seem like he'll ever get that awareness, which is a real shame. I don't think he's progressed since his first season at the club. So, yeah, for me at the moment, Diop drops out, but I am starting to wonder whether we'll need another centre half in the transfer window to be able to challenge in Europe.
Here's a point Cathal makes about Dawson hoofing the ball because that's what he's done all his career before coming and doesn't have someone like Rice coming to take it off him. Thoughts?
Great point. Excellent point. That is it's very true. I don't know how many times he done that last night. Like I actually sat here last night with a friend of mine. We was watching the game, and even just before he'd done it, I went, "Why is he not looking to play it in an area where someone can run onto it?" Sort of thing. He's hoofing it into like Rose on the 70th minute, and I don't know what it is. Obviously, I don't know whether he needs to have a timeout, maybe a game out, because let's be honest, he's played every game since the Southampton away game.
I think he's played every minute, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah, I think so. I believe so. I don't think he's come off or anything like that. The only reason, that is true what Cathal saying though. Like he hoofs the ball like up in the air. Basically, it's very.
I think he's panicking.
It's very League One. That's what I'm going to say on that. It's very League One. It's not very. He's not very controlled. Like he don't get the ball down and go right. Let's look for a player. Yeah. So yeah, I agree with Cathal there, 100%.
Yeah.
Do you think
on the ball?
Here's the thing. Do you think that this is we've kind of sort of bought into the hype of Dawson? I'm not saying this is how I feel. I'm just throwing this out there for you to sort of bat around. But I turned around and said a little while ago, and I'm not meaning to be unkind or hypercritical about him, but is there an argument to say that if Craig Dawson was possibly as good as we thought he was when he first came in, then he'd have probably played for better clubs than West Brom, Watford, Bolton, and so forth? Do you think that's a fair comment?
Go on, Weston. All right, you go, mate. Go on.
I think the problem with Dawson is I never, even when he was playing well, and I still knew that on the ball the man was shocking. He's shocking on the ball. He can't pass at all. I think James, me and you, Gatesy, are probably better passers than he is. The thing is, at West Brom under Tony Pulis, there was that season when West Brom finished 8th when he was defensively, in a low block, he's fantastic. If you want someone to head it out, clear it, things like that, he's defensively brilliant. But the problem with him is when he's playing against high quality players like the likes of the attackers on Arsenal, like a Lacazette or anyone like that, he just doesn't have the mobility or the pace or the technique to be able to get around playing those sort of players. So I always knew that there would be moments where you'd question him, but I didn't think it would be quite as bad as he's looked the last few games, in which I think he's looked like the reincarnation of Titus Bramble.
Do you know what? Leading on to that, right, I think the novelty's worn off a little bit now. Let's be honest here. Craig Dawson's a good player to come in for certain games, but if we're asking him to be our first choice centre half, then we're asking for this. If that makes sense, he's done well for us. I can't knock him because he's done well, but the last recent form is dipped massively. Now, whether or not it's what I'm saying, that he's played X amount of games, and basically he's playing half a season. Like at the start of the season, if you're a player at the start of the season of any season, you're up for the game. You're up for it. Yeah. 10 games in, you start sort of going through the motions, sort of thing. I'm not sure how many games he's played and this season in the Premier League, but he's played more
15,
than 10, 12. Well, he's played 15 games. He's near enough reaching half of the season, isn't he? And if he carries on playing, he's going to get half the season. So, to me, Bonner's got to be back there just to marshal the defence. And if we ask Craig Dawson just to defend and defend only, we've got a good player. But if we're asking him to pass it out from the back and do all this game, then it ain't going to work. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's a cause for concern. Are we starting to see a little cracks in the armoury, basically, so to speak? Do you know what I mean?
I personally, for me, I think it's like I say. I think if Craig Dawson was as good as maybe we thought he was when he first came in, well, he'd have played for probably better clubs than he has, and we wouldn't be getting him for 2-3 million quid.
Well,
that's the truth of it.
Let's look at it like this way, Rob. Would you want him as your first choice centre half to start next season?
On the basis of the last 4 performances, no. If we were basing it on the first sort of like 8 to 10 games, then I'd say no problem at all. If we're basing it on the last 4 or 5 matches, I would have serious concerns. But Andy makes a point here, boys. Just again, point to consider: would you consider Kufal as the third centre back and Johnson or Fredericks as right wing back when playing a back 5? Because isn't that's what happened at Old Trafford in the Cup, isn't it? Kufal played as the third centre back.
100%. Yeah, I thought in the FA Cup game when they played. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think they played Fredericks, Johnson as the wing backs, and they had Kufal, Dawson, and Diop. And I thought Kufal does the job there. And do you know what I like about Kufal is he can defend. He is a proper defender, and I just like him in general. I think he's quality, the man. But I wouldn't mind that. But obviously we've got to make sure that our right back is as good as Kufal, or if not better than Kufal. So that's because what Kufal brings on the right hand side is he brings balance. And he does. You've only got to look at it last night. The link up with him with Lingard for the first goal. He's playing a pass to Fornells. They get out of a tight position, ball straight to Lingard, up the pitch, goal. So I wouldn't mind that. But do you know what? It is a bit of a cause for concern with Dawson. I will say that. It's starting to become a bit of an habit. our last 4 games, obviously we had the Arsenal game, with the Manchester United away game, and then we had another game. I can't think of the game before that, but we had I think it was a Leeds game. I think it was. He's been okay, but like he was okay, but then he's been a bit hit and miss. It's just been sort of like he hasn't really, like, if we was rating him over the last 3 games, he wouldn't be good. It wouldn't be good reading. So yeah, it's a bit of a cause for concern with Dawson.
West Ham Online, your thoughts?
Yeah, the thing is with Dawson is, I don't think next season. I don't know. As James said, we were thinking it's easy to think in your head that he's played the whole season because it feels like he's been in the defence for ages, but only 15 games. I don't know how he'd do over a 38 game season because if you actually look at it overall, first 8 games brilliant, 8 to 10 games brilliant. The last few games poor. So that's actually quite inconsistent if you look at it over a season. If you keep having patches like that, that would be spells of inconsistency, which we can't afford.
If someone said to me right now, you're going to get rid of Balbuena in the summer, you're going to buy Dawson, but you're going to buy a good centre half, to sort of a young, fresh centre half to go alongside of Bonner, I would accept that as a West Ham fan because I look at Dawson. Dawson can't do a 38 game season. I'm sorry. I think he's in spells. This man goes in spells. You do 8 good, 4 bad, 5 good, 3 bad. Can you see what I'm saying? And it'll just be over the. And if you're competing at the highest level, he's done well for us, Dawson. I can't knock him.
Yeah,
but we've got to be a bit realistic when we've got a player there who's 2.2 million. He will do a job for you in a League Cup game or Europa League game, or he'll come in as a good replacement, like, and a solid replacement when fully fit. But it'd be interesting to see how many 90 minutes he's played over the last 10, 15 games. I guarantee he's probably played every single minute or every single game for us. So
I remember him being subbed.
Yeah. So that's obviously, if you're playing every single game, like week in, week out, sometimes he's playing twice a week, then you've got to look at it and go, maybe is he getting a bit of burnout? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's another issue.
And the thing is, if you look at
sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No, carry on, West Ham Online.
If you look at Ogbonna, I can't remember the last time Ogbonna had a bad performance, if I'm honest. There's probably been one this season. Maybe you could point out the Chelsea game, but nowhere near as bad as what Dawson has been lately. And that's the reason why Ogbonna is a step ahead of Dawson, because a few games ago I heard people say maybe Dawson's our best defender ahead of Ogbonna, but the thing is, that's at his best. Ogbonna is consistent, and that's the thing with Diop as well, because I actually think at his best, Diop is our best defender. You remember that performance at Spurs in 18-19? Unbelievable. But the problem is his best he's hardly ever at his best. So what you need is consistency.
Don't get me wrong. And then actually, this is quite a good debate that we're having here. Yeah, Diop has got the potential, but I know what you're saying. He's slow. And sort of, we need him to perform how he's performed when he first arrived at the club, and he seems like he's just sort of stood still, sort of thing. Now I can accept that. I can sort of accept that for what it is. Do I think he can get back there? Now, he played like that for us when he arrived, so there's no reason why he can't, and he's got age on his side. The only problem is with Dawson, is when I look at Dawson, I don't look at a first choice defensive partnership there. Like, I look at Ogbonna and I say, you know what, Ogbonna is 100% got to be one of our defenders, and the other one is a toss up between the pair of them. The only reason why Dawson goes there because he's older and he's more experienced. Really, in a roundabout way.
I think maybe it depends on the opposition in some ways.
Yeah, it does.
Who you select.
It does, but then also, really, are we starting to see the Dawson effect come into how he was at Watford? Because he hasn't been good.
Probably.
He hasn't been good. Even there was a game. that West Ham played, and it was against Aston Villa, I believe, and he was misplacing passes and all that. I think that was one of the games and away this season, the one game we won 3-1. And if we're going to play from the back and we're going to give the ball to Rice, we're going to have to get a centre half who can play out from the back, so to speak. And with Dawson, I don't know if you noticed, the ball never goes to him to feet. It's usually going straight long, or it goes to either flank, like to Cresswell or to Gafal, mainly. So it is an interesting thing. We need to make sure, though, that if Dawson, I just hope it ain't burnout with him, because if it's burnout, you can understand his performance dipping. But if this is Dawson, and this is Dawson's sort of persona, where he starts off well when he starts coming down to a level, then maybe we might need to see about another centre half in the summer.
Yeah,
maybe we've already got him. Maybe his name's Frederick Alves.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting.
Me and James looked at, isn't it, James?
Yeah.
A few months ago, we made a comment on him, but I think the one with real potential in the defence in the youth team is Jamal Baptiste. So I think that man will be a fantastic player. He's only 17, and Man United wanted him, Juventus wanted him, and there's got to be a reason for that.
Yeah, and maybe if we do get Europa, if we do get Europa League, this might be the chance for these players, because they're going to get multiple amounts of games, like against lower opposition. Let's be honest here. When we play League Cup games, we're very rarely getting anyone who is like, we might get a Macclesfield for 1 or 2 rounds, and then by that time we're hitting a Championship team, and then we're hitting a Premier League team if we're still in the competition. FA Cup is usually the same. We might get through 1 round and then maybe 2 at best, and then we're hitting another team who's top quality. So it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're coming up to the point where I'm going to start wrapping it up now, guys. So just real quick, so we've got the Leicester game coming up. If Antonio is fit, score prediction, please, Mr. Fever.
I'm going to go 2-1 West Ham. We need to win this game, 100%. This is the big one for me.
And if Antonio isn't available?
I will go with a draw, 1-1.
Okay. West Ham online, with and without?
Well, James has predicted a West Ham win, so I'm already feeling optimistic due to that. But with Antonio, I think we will win. I think he ran them ragged last time, so I think we'll win 2-1. And I'm going to completely agree with James. I think 1-0 if we don't. But before we quickly end, Gatesy, can I quickly ask you both a question?
Of course.
Do you think, would you right now, if you were offered it, would you take 6th place, and how would you feel if we came 6th?
Yes, elated.
If there was no injuries, if we said we had no injuries right now, and all our players were fit, but obviously Rice is injured, so we've got to count him as being injured. But if Antonio's fit, Lingard's fit, Bowen's fit, Benrahma's fit, the whole defence is fit, Bonner comes back, etc., I think we can get that Champions League spot. And that's not me being deluded. That's me looking at it and thinking, if we can beat Leicester, we've dragged them in with us. And when I look at our fixtures, let's be honest, we are like, them fixtures are nice. Like, they are nice fixtures. If we slip to 6, would I be disappointed? No, but I would feel it's an opportunity missed, in my opinion. And I'd look at it and go, you know what? We've had Brighton, Burnley, Newcastle, West Brom, and Southampton. To me, that's 15 points sitting there. And they're 5 games that we can win. Do you know what I mean? And the other 3 are obviously the Chelsea, Leicester, and Everton game, which are a bit more trickier than the other 5. But no, I wouldn't be disappointed, but I'll with 6. But I'll be like, that's an opportunity gone this season. Yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong. When I say 6, I'd be elated. I'm talking from the point of view of what our expectations were at the beginning of the season. You know, don't get me wrong. Dropping 2 places from where we are in the next 8 games, yeah, I'd probably be a little bit disappointed. But then I'd have to take a step back and go, looking at the bigger picture,
Yeah.
6 would have been unimaginable at the beginning of the season.
But with them
for a team
fixtures,
that
though,
was
Rob,
two games away from relegation. Do you know what I mean? Last season.
but with them fixtures, you have got to fancy us to do something close to it.
Yeah.
I'm sort of not in disagreement, but without Rice, I really I can't get my mind to a stage where I can even think fourth is possible. I just really do not see it happening. Without Rice, I really think we will.
Let me ask you this then. Let me ask you this: if we beat Leicester next week, and we beat Leicester, so we're 1 point behind Leicester, would you say that Champions League is still on? Because I believe that the next week, I believe that we are definitely contenders and not pretenders anymore. Like we're not just there because the table says we're there. If we beat Leicester next week, we are 1 point behind Leicester, and we have got our fixture list looks a lot prettier than some of the other ones. You know what I mean? What do you think?
If we beat Leicester, I'll say I'm feeling 50-50, but I really still will not say that I think we'll get Champions League, because I just can't get my mind to a stage of thinking how Mark Noble and Craig Dawson can get over the line to Champions League. As much as I love the pair, I rate Chelsea, and I've rated them since Tuchel came in. And that, for me, that West Brom game will just be a one-off red card. They got red card. I just think Chelsea will respond, and I don't see us beating them in points enough over the next 8 games.
Would you
be revealed in the next 8 games?
But would you say, though, if you, out of the 3 games that we've got, the 3 big games, Leicester, Everton and Chelsea, if we just, for argument's sake, we won all 3 of them games, would you consider it then? Because we can beat Chelsea, let's be honest.
If we won all 3 of them, we'd get it. If we won, we'd get 3rd or 4th if we won all 3 of them.
Yeah. Right. No worries.
Fair enough. Okay, right. I'm going to wrap it up there. But before I do, guys, I'm going to do my usual shout out to Wyla Caton. So this is a young 6-year-old girl. She is suffering with neuroblastoma, guys. This is a really rare, aggressive form of cancer that tends to afflict children. This family have got to stop what they're doing and take their little girl wherever it is that they can to get the treatment to save her life. Now, this is something they can't obviously do on the NHS, so they've got to go wherever it is, Barcelona, the United States, wherever. Flights, accommodation, treatment, living costs, bills that are still coming in the UK. If you think you're going through it in this pandemic, and everyone is, but this family is really going through the ringer right now. Just put yourself in their spot, all of that going on. They've got a 6-year-old girl that's fighting for her life. That's no exaggeration. So I'm asking you, we at Forge from Iron are asking you guys watching that if there's anything you can put in the pot, you've got a PayPal, you've got a Just Giving. We ask you to give generously. The more, the merrier. But if all you can put in is £1, there is no donation that is too small. Thank you very much indeed. If you can't, then all we would ask you to do is to take this message far and wide, share it, friends, family, work colleagues, whatever. Get it out there. We need to try and keep the momentum going because, like I say, guys, the clock's ticking for this little girl. That's no exaggeration. We need this story to have a happy ending, and this little girl shouldn't be going through this. It's as simple as that. So, thank you very much indeed for listening, and I just encourage you to make a donation. As I say, nothing's too small. So, thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. I'm going to wrap it up there. And don't forget, we're going live tonight with Claret and View from the Terrace, 8 o'clock. So set the reminder. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon. You'll be notified.
What's in tune tonight, Rob? What's in tune tonight? Can you give us a preview of what we'll be discussing tonight for the folks? Oh, it's confidential.
It's top secret.
There'll be a few arguments. I've been told there'll be a few arguments, James.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm here.
It's Duke's baby, really. He's keeping it under wraps even from me, so I'm just like whatever. So but anyway, guys, 8 o'clock tonight. If you're around, as I say, hit the bell icon. As soon as we go live, you'll know because it will come up, it will tell you. Leave a comment at the bottom of the video, like the video, share the video. You know the drill. You've got our social media platforms at the bottom as well. If you want to get in touch with us, crack on, help yourself. Thank you very much indeed, guys. Only one thing left to say, isn't there? Come on, you
We are
Irons.
fourth, baby.
Massive.
We're finishing 7th. Get in.